Trade tariffs are essentially taxes placed on imported goods, and they play a major role in shaping the global economy. Governments use tariffs as a tool to influence trade, often aiming to protect their own industries from foreign competition. By making imported products more expensive, tariffs are designed to give domestic companies a competitive edge, encouraging consumers to buy locally made goods and supporting homegrown businesses. However, this protection comes at a cost. Many industries depend on raw materials or components from abroad, and tariffs can drive up their expenses, making it harder for them to stay profitable or keep prices low for customers. Small businesses in particular may struggle to absorb these higher costs, sometimes forcing them to cut jobs or delay expansion plans. For example, a car manufacturer facing tariffs on foreign steel must either absorb higher costs, which can shrink profit margins, or pass them on to consumers in the form of higher prices. When countries respond to tariffs with their own taxes, it can quickly escalate into a trade war, disrupting the flow of goods and services across borders and threatening the stability of global supply chains. This back-and-forth retaliation creates a climate of uncertainty for businesses and workers everywhere, making it difficult to plan for the future or invest in growth. The recent US tariffs have triggered such a chain reaction, especially impacting the automotive sector, where global supply chains are deeply interconnected and even small changes can have big consequences. While the intention was to boost American manufacturing and create jobs, the reality has been more complicated, resulting in higher prices for consumers, difficult decisions for companies, and increased tension between trading partners. The long-term effects on jobs, consumer prices, and international trade partnerships are still unfolding, and many experts warn that the full impact may not be felt for years. In the end, tariffs are a double-edged sword, offering protection to some but creating significant economic uncertainty for everyone involved. In 2025, the US launched sweeping new tariffs, targeting Canada, Mexico, China, and potentially the EU. A 25% tariff on imports sent shockwaves through global markets, especially the auto industry, which depends on cross-border supply chains. The US also imposed a staggering 93.5% tariff on Chinese graphite, a critical material for EV batteries. With China supplying nearly all refined graphite to US automakers, this move threatens the entire American EV sector. Tariffs on steel and aluminum have already raised costs for car makers, and copper could be next. These targeted measures have created a perfect storm, forcing automakers to navigate a volatile and costly environment. The result: rising production costs and mounting pressure on American manufacturing. The future of the US auto industry is now more uncertain than ever. New tariffs have sharply increased the cost of making cars, and the US automakers like Tesla and Ford now face higher prices for steel, aluminum, and especially graphite for EV batteries. With few alternatives to Chinese graphite, battery costs are soaring, squeezing profit margins. Many car parts are sourced from Mexico, and these now face steep tariffs as well. Tesla, for example, imports thousands of battery packs from China, each shipment now taxed heavily. Companies must choose: absorb the costs and lose profits, or raise prices and risk losing customers. The very policies meant to protect American industry are making it more expensive to build cars at home. Automakers are rethinking their manufacturing strategies in response to this economic squeeze. The future of US car production is at a crossroads. Facing rising costs in the US, automakers like Tesla and Ford are eyeing Canada as a new production base. The cost of labor, energy, and raw materials in the United States has been steadily increasing, putting pressure on profit margins and forcing companies to rethink their manufacturing strategies. As global competition intensifies, these iconic American brands are searching for ways to stay ahead and remain competitive in a rapidly changing market. Shifting operations north could help them avoid US tariffs on imported materials and components. By moving production to Canada, automakers can sidestep some of the most punishing trade barriers, making it easier and cheaper to source the parts and resources they need to build vehicles. Canadian factories can import graphite and Mexican parts without the same penalties, stabilizing costs. This flexibility is especially important for electric vehicle makers who rely on a complex web of suppliers from around the world. Canada's trade agreements give automakers a unique advantage, allowing them to access critical materials and components at lower costs. This marks a major shift in North American manufacturing as companies prioritize tariff-free supply chains over traditional factors like labor costs. The focus is now on building resilient networks that can withstand global disruptions, rather than simply chasing the lowest wages. For Tesla, moving production could challenge its American identity, but the financial pressures are mounting. The company must weigh the benefits of lower costs and fewer trade barriers against the risk of losing its Made in America image, which has been a key part of its brand. Retaliatory tariffs from Canada and Mexico on US-made vehicles add to the incentive to relocate. These tariffs make it even more expensive to export American-made cars, pushing automakers to consider new locations for their factories. Canada is emerging as a logical safe haven, offering a more predictable environment for automakers. With its stable trade policies, skilled workforce, and access to key markets, Canada is quickly becoming the go-to destination for companies looking to secure their future. The search for stability is now the top priority for companies battered by trade wars. Automakers are determined to protect their supply chains and shield themselves from unpredictable tariffs and political disputes. The impact of these decisions could reshape the entire industry, influencing where cars are built and how supply chains are structured for years to come. The stakes for American manufacturing have never been higher, as the choices made today will determine the future of the industry and the livelihoods of thousands of workers across North America. Canada offers more than just relief from US tariffs. It has real strategic advantages for automakers. The country's automotive sector is rapidly evolving, driven by a combination of natural resources, government support, and strategic trade agreements. The country is rich in aluminum, nickel, cobalt, and graphite, all vital for EV production. These resources are essential for manufacturing batteries, which are the heart of electric vehicles. By building factories in Canada, automakers can source key materials domestically, reducing exposure to trade disputes. This not only ensures a steady supply chain, but also lowers production costs and enhances operational efficiency. Canada is investing in refining its own graphite, aiming to break China's dominance in the market. This move is part of a broader strategy to become a leader in the global EV supply chain. The government actively supports the auto sector with incentives and infrastructure, creating a stable investment climate. Policies are in place to encourage innovation and development in the EV industry. Canada's trade agreements with Europe and Asia make it easier to export vehicles globally. These agreements open up new markets and provide Canadian-made EVs with a competitive edge. In contrast, US trade policy has become a source of instability. This uncertainty makes Canada an even more attractive option for automakers looking for a reliable and predictable business environment. For automakers planning for the future, Canada's combination of resources, support, and market access is compelling. The country offers a unique blend of advantages that are hard to find elsewhere. The country is positioning itself as the new hub for North American EV production. With its strategic initiatives and robust infrastructure, Canada is set to lead the way in the EV revolution. For companies seeking certainty, Canada is an increasingly attractive choice. Its comprehensive approach to supporting the EV industry makes it a prime destination for investment and growth. The US EV market faces another setback. The federal EV tax credit, worth up to $7,500, is ending in September 2025. This credit made electric cars more affordable for many Americans. Without it, EVs become thousands of dollars more expensive overnight, putting them out of reach for many buyers. Combined with rising production costs from tariffs, this creates a double blow for both consumers and automakers. Demand for EVs is expected to drop, slowing the transition to cleaner transportation. Automakers like Tesla now face higher costs and fewer buyers, threatening their business models. The loss of incentives removes a key selling point for electric vehicles. The US EV industry is being squeezed from both sides, cost and demand. The result, a major setback for American clean car adoption. The US tariff strategy has triggered swift retaliation from Canada and Mexico. Canada imposed 25% tariffs on American goods, including finished vehicles, specifically targeting Tesla. Political leaders have threatened even higher tariffs, potentially shutting US automakers out of the Canadian market. Mexico is preparing its own countermeasures, including new tariffs and regulatory hurdles for American imports. These moves make it harder and more expensive for US companies to export cars to their closest neighbors. American automakers now face rising costs at home and shrinking access to key export markets. The double bind of tariffs and retaliation is eroding the competitiveness of US-made vehicles. Companies are under growing pressure to move production outside the US to survive. The trade war is reshaping the North American auto industry. The consequences for American manufacturing are severe and far-reaching. The fallout from tariffs and trade wars lands hardest on American workers and consumers. Car prices are rising, especially for EVs, putting them out of reach for many families. The loss of the EV tax credit and higher material costs mean fewer people can afford new cars. Automakers are considering moving production to Canada, threatening jobs in US factories and across the supply chain. Small suppliers and local communities face the risk of closures and layoffs. The policies meant to protect American jobs may end up destroying them. Higher costs for manufacturers lead to higher prices for buyers and job losses for workers. Companies are seeking stability elsewhere, and the US risks losing its manufacturing edge. In a global economy, trade barriers often hurt those they were meant to help.